He's got some shifty energy. I don't know what's up with Chris.
I feel like he's shady at moments.
I think he's an F-boy for sure.
Over the time. Yes. So opening kind of video there, we had obviously Nikita trying to say, I don't, and this is her wording was actually really important. She said, I don't want to see Colin as a F-boy. Not that she didn't think he was. She didn't want him to be an F-boy. And I think that wording is really important. I think, and we've been talking about this, denial sometimes, and this is the art of seduction. Part of the person being seduced has to be a lie. Part in there when people are playing you is that you have to almost want it, and you almost have to play as if, oh, he seduced me. No, darling, you bought something knowing that something in the back of your mind, your heart, your gut was telling you this might not be the right deal to cut.
But I don't know. I just feel like he could be an F-boy.
There's nothing else more that I need besides someone that can just honestly be by my side or maybe in front of me.
You don't seem like...
And she's used those words, you know, I don't want to see him as. What was your thoughts, Maria?
Yeah, so for me, Nikita not wanting to see a guy as an F-boy confirms my initial notion about her of like, he wants a reformed F-boy, okay? He wants a guy who has all of the excitement and edge to that of the F-boy, but she wants him to come in a nice boy package, okay? You're lying to yourself. The two don't exist unless you're New Jared. We'll talk about that later. So, like, literally, you know what's up, but again, this is where that pride comes into play. You want to be the exception to his rule, you know, to, you know, mold him into the type of guy that you want him to be and still enjoy all of the excitement that comes with the danger element. And this is not common, okay? There are some guys out there that can achieve a healthy balance of like bad boy energy with good guy tendencies. They're out there, but they're very few and far in between. Okay. So just understand that like when you get the F-boy vibe, most likely it's true. Like if your gut is telling you he's an F-boy, it's true. You not wanting to see it is your own pride and ego. Period, point blank. And don't manipulate yourself, and I'll take a page out of Jay's book. Don't manipulate yourself into believing that you are special enough to change him. Because who he shows you, who he is, and, you know, the evidence that you see play out is what he's going to be. You know, when you're initially meeting a person, they're putting their best foot forward, which means it can only get worse from there. And you have to decide if the best that he's putting forward is giving you F-boy vibes, what's going to happen next?
I think with Nikita, it's interesting because we said this on the last few reviews, right? We said, oh, Nikita is saying, you know, she can spot an F-boy, blah, 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 etc., etc. But we're seeing her willingly want to buy into the dream of the F-boy. It's quite actually different because her counterpart, CJ, which we'll get onto a little bit later, it's pretty much open about wanting to reform the F-boy. That's her one. But with Nikita, it's almost as if, you know, when you want to do something bad, and, you know, it's almost like, I know this is bad, but I want to do this bad, but I also want to cover it up as if I don't know what I'm doing, because then it doesn't make it look like it's intentional that I made this mistake. But the truth of the matter is, you want to, with a sprinkle of hope in the back that this might just work out, right? But the truth is, you know, going into it, it's not going to. And that's what I've seen with her and Colin. It's like an intentional sticking my head in the sand lie to me, I want to have the option of being able to say I'm not responsible for what's going on. That's what I was trying to get. She almost because if you say he seduced me, it's like, no, he pulled me into it and I didn't know any better. It's to also remove the responsibility that you have in making a decision when it comes to a partner and potentially it going wrong. So at the end, it's like, no, he was an F-boy, you know, he played with my heart, blah, blah, blah. But sis, you knew, you sensed the signs and you intentionally ignored them because you wanted to have that danger, right? And have that excuse of, I didn't know. You can't have that excuse, Nikita.
Like a woman to leave.
So you got to get to know me.
And she would feel extra special. Extra
That's true.
special if
She can
this
tame him.
guy who lived a life of F-boy effery and decided to change just for her. That's the real excitement. That's the real sense of validation, you know, on a female side of things. You know, like, that's the intoxicating, you know, pursuit of the unknown. We gotta break out of that and create more predictability. Okay, in this process, because your future and all that stuff like that, you don't want that hanging in the balance, you know, on the whim of somebody else, because you end up giving them all the power. Because if they decide not to change, guess what?
You done.
So you need to learn how to go for
True.
creating the environment that you're looking for and knowing that, okay, solidness and actually what it's going to be is what you need to be going for. Because other than that, you don't have any power. Okay, I know we say power in the P, but you don't have any power.
Well, I wouldn't have any power if you're not giving any P, but yeah, I hear you on that.
It's a false sense of power. Okay, it's an illusion, because at the end of the day, P is out here to be had everywhere, especially with ladies just doing it for free, doing it for no real, you know. So if that's all you got to go off of,
Good. Miles Yard?
Moving around.
Maria, what do you think of the photo shoot?
I think the photo shoot allows us the opportunity to see, you know, who has chemistry and who doesn't. You know, stuff like that requires a great deal of chemistry because it will show on camera if you don't. Nikita was playing hard to get with. I'm here for it. Do your thing, girl. Okay, don't just let these dudes think that they could just, you know, be all up in here, you know, have you just all up on them, and, you know, stuff like that. So good. Sarah, for me, bland. Okay, mayonnaise, unseasoned chicken. That's what I was getting from Sarah. CJ, you know, she did her little thing or whatever. You know, it was doing what it was doing, but. You know, I feel like a photo shoot like that with a stranger where you have to look like you're intimate, I think can say a lot about a person's personality.
Yeah. I when I had a different opinion to you in terms of Nikita's. I know she was playing hard to get.
Okay.
I wondered how comfortable she is with physical touch. Cause I felt like all her photos look awkward, all of them. Like even with Colin, even when he was holding her from behind, maybe it's him and maybe it's not her, I don't know. I didn't feel that closeness. Like I didn't feel like I could see the chemistry that I normally see when they're normally with each other. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't see that. Obviously, maybe being picked up as well probably doesn't help. Maybe she's not comfortable enough, because even Jared picking her up, her face was a little bit like, almost like she was uncomfortable, like being picked up. I don't know. Maybe that's just me overlooking at it, but it did feel a little bit like, oh, I don't know if is this comfortable with all that closeness. You know what I mean? I mean, she was super close with Colin. She was super close with Jared. She was super close with even Fernando, and being in their faces. I don't know. It just felt like at certain points, maybe she wasn't as comfortable. Maybe it was at certain points she wasn't comfortable with the level of intimacy that was happening with those kind of photos. But she definitely rejected. Oh boy, Colin swerved him differently, and also swerved Fernando. Fernando was like, put your arms, put your legs around me. She was like, this is good. I said, oh damn, baby. So I don't know, maybe she was thinking about how to control the situation and keep in control. Maybe that was part of her plan, you know what I mean? So maybe that's what the awkwardness I was seeing, that it was just her just trying to keep the boys on edge and control the photo shoot in terms of how it goes and what she's gonna allow them to do.
That's good.
Put your arm, your legs around me.
No, this is good.
Exactly what it was. She was trying to control her environment, which I do not fault her for, and I actually appreciate that. I think more women need to take control of their environment and not just allow anything to just come through. And with her not, kissing certain ones and doing certain things, I think shows that she has a certain level of, standards that, she's trying to set for herself. Now, whether or not she follows through with that standard, that's a whole different story. But she knows that she's in front of the other guys doing this photo shoot. And she knows that at this point, she's willing to keep her options open. So if she is out here kissing one dude, doing all this other stuff like that, she will appear to be very open and fast and kind of like easy, which I think, society conditions women to be the opposite of that. Depending on where you fall on the feminism spectrum, you can decide, what you would rather gravitate towards. But I think, Nikita, she is taking the power into her own hands and saying, hey, like, you want to kiss me right now, but I don't feel like we're at that stage yet. And I'm here for that 100%. Like, if you don't feel comfortable doing it, or if you feel like, you're not at that level with the guy, he does not deserve it. Because a lot of guys out here think that they are entitled to women's affection, to, women allowing them to do what they want to them, to touch them in a certain way, to, have all this type of stuff. And it's time for women to take back their agency and be like, no, you're gonna do this in a more safe way until you have established a level of comfortability and rapport with me to where I actually feel comfortable to be vulnerable with you. Now, does she have an issue with affection? Potentially, right?
No, not yet. I didn't reject you. I just redirected you. When it's right, you'll know.
I used to think like if a guy's ready to kiss you, that you should just kiss him because he's ready.
She talked about how her father wasn't there and, all this type of stuff. So that could be a thing that factors into her decision. But I think if that were removed, I think this is how a woman should go about it, because who are these guys? Why does Colin deserve to kiss her at this photo shoot in front of these other guys?
Mm.
Like, they can wait. Like, they're not gonna die.
Okay.
And you're the prize, right? And especially with the power dynamics being what they are. Look, patience is a virtue.
I agree.
Say that.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that at all. Yeah. By the way, I wasn't talking about her kissing him anyway. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I was talking more in terms of just the actual touches. It just felt a little bit awkward. Not the kiss. The kiss she had every right to. I don't think there's a problem with that at all. But part of the game, part of the mystery, part of the draw. To bring someone in. So I'm down with that. I've got no problems with that at all. Obviously, then. Go for it.
I need you to do a little bit of a deeper dive on Nikita and everything, because I feel like,
obviously, they did have a little conversation later on.
You rejected me from a kiss.
One big one, a kiss?
No. No, not yet. I didn't reject you. I just redirected you. When it's right, you'll know.
First of all, I thought it was interesting the fact that he thought that everyone thinks I'm serious, and no, bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've not once got that thought that you are serious. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did think you were.
Nobody thinks that.
Nobody thinks that, and I'm like, bro, who told you that? Because, bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. Since I've been watching the show, I've not seen you been serious, bro. So I don't know about the serious thing that you saw, but maybe that could be also something to explore in your self-awareness piece, you know, in terms of how you think people view you versus how you view you. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, the conversation between himself and Nikita about the kiss, she said, obviously, she made a really good point. You know, she redirected him, and then she explained that in the past, she herself was always going with the flow when it happened. If someone guy kissed her, she would just go with it and didn't have any agency or freedom or strength in herself to say no. You know what I mean? Like, she felt like she couldn't give that no at the time, but she's learned that now, you know? So I think that's a really important experience and an important gain that she's had, whether that was in the past, however long ago it was. But it's very good wisdom that she's picked up upon, because, you know, sometimes you can get drawn into situations where you really didn't want to kiss that guy or even hug that guy or even talk to that guy, and it's like you felt like you had to due to how you've been brought up, maybe lacking that you know, male figure, you know, not having that that safety around you all the time, giving you the permission to have boundaries. Because as much as obviously boundaries are things that we take for granted, sometimes we think you're just born with them, you actually learn these things. You learn how to create boundaries because oftentimes your parents have given you boundaries, right? They've told you, these are boundaries I have as a parent, this is you as a child, right? Every child's probably gone through that. If you're black, you know your parents have told you, I'm not your friend. Okay, if you've heard that term, that's an effective boundary. Our parents let us know we are not co-equals. Don't ever think we are, and you never will be. Okay, I am not your mate. All right, that's when you hear that, that's a boundary. And so kids learn from early from their parents what kind of boundaries they have. Probably not having a father figure around, probably missed out on that aspect of putting boundaries in place, you know, not being able to say no, right? The fear of missing out, the fear of missing an opportunity, right? The fear of missing the opportunity of being loved, cared for, you know, those kind of thoughts that kind of put fire into you not saying no at the time, because you're thinking, you know, I don't know when this might come again, because actually really it's not about that person who's giving you that affection, but it really is about what you've experienced in the past, not having that affection and trying to fill that void and that hole. So it was good to hear her say, you know, that's something I've learned. And so, you know, I told him straight, look, hey, you know, I redirected you. You know, I even like the term that she used. She said, no. She didn't even say, no, I didn't kiss you. She said, no, I redirected you. Like, that for me was beautiful. I think that's what you want to see. That's what I call, you know, I can't remember what the technique is. It might be Tai Chi, where it's just, everything is just flow. It's not about the attack. It's about, how do I redirect your energy against you? And I think she did that perfectly in the game, or even in the conversation between herself and Colin. She didn't stop him dead in the tracks. You know what I mean? He leaned forward, and she just swifted his hand around and kept him moving, and kept him moving. He didn't stop, you know? So that was a really eloquent example of how not to stop the flow, not to kill the vibe, but actually just change the direction of how it was going. So when he said what he said, and she said redirection, what can he say? Right? What could he say? He's been, you know what I mean? Like, he hasn't been stopped. It's not a no. It's just it wasn't for now. You know what I mean? So I really did, got to heap some praise on Nikita for that. Just that really good in redirection. And part of their conversation, I think him saying about, you know, everyone thinks I'm serious, for me screams Fboy. I'm not gonna lie to you. Fboys usually have an absolute trash self-awareness, right? But the ones that are cold-hearted, that have intelligence, you know, are Sigma males who turn into Fboys, will have self-awareness. But they do something which they really they do something which is so crazy. They lie, right? They'll tell you, oh, everyone thinks I'm a serious person, and you damn well know.
I don't want to kiss you.
People think I'm just like this serious person. But
No, I don't think that's what people think.
Yeah.
There's a high possibility that he is
No one thinks you're serious. Nobody. You know what I mean? Like, the the fact that he said, I think everyone thinks I'm serious, and she went straight away said, nobody thinks that, should tell you either he's lacking self-awareness or he's a cold-hearted liar. You understand? Yeah, when he said that, I said, okay, Nikita, you picked it up, right? You picked it up. This should be in your bank. This should be in your, your book now of saying things that he has said that have triggered my alarm bells off. But yeah, I'll let it rest there for now. Go ahead, Maria.
I mean, you said so many things that I like wanna like respond to, and
Respond to it then. Go
I
on.
know I think I agree with you on a majority of what you said. Like, you said something about the boundaries and the redirecting of the energy and things like that. Well, we know that boundary setting, by Nikia's words, is something that she has struggled with, something that she's intentionally working on.
Yeah.
And that's why you're seeing the awkwardness in these photos.
Fair enough.
Because she is intentionally trying to put boundaries in place.
That's a good point.
And I think she does it in a way that is still attractive. And it creates a sense of allure and mystery. Because now guys are not so much, because, okay, and I hate to bring a different show into the examples of this, but when we look at Married at First Sight and Merla and Gil, right? Merla actually puts a lot of boundaries in place, but in a way that is unattractive, or like in a way that is a turnoff. Okay, she complains about everything, all that. Nikita puts boundaries in place in a way that still gives off the impression that she's open to exploring the idea, but right now she's not ready to go past a certain point, which I think is, the way to do it, because what you want to do is you want to keep the door open just enough to still, engage with this person, learn more about this person, pique this person's interest, have this person believe that, there is still opportunity for them to get to know you, to convince you, whatever. But I feel like, she's doing this and it draws the guys in. Okay, there's a perfect balance that you have to display to do this correctly, to not completely turn the guy off. And I hate to say it like that because it makes it sound like the girl is at the mercy of the guy. But when you do it this way, it actually makes the guy at the mercy of you, right? Because what you're saying is like, if you prove to me that you are worthy of going to the next stage, then the door is slightly ajar for you, But at this point, I'm not ready. And so it's up to the guy, puts the ball in the guy's court to like figure out. And we see that Colin gets placed in this position time and time again, where he is constantly having to figure out Nikita, figure out how to approach Nikita in a way that makes her feel more comfortable with him. And it is that sense of, holding off on certain things until you feel like the right things have taken place in order for you to get to that point. Now, if you're just automatically going in there, just kissing and doing all this and doing all that, what is there left for the guy to actually figure out or like actually put effort into? I think that guys need that level of effort, because while we talk about competition amongst the men, there's also a competitive factor amongst winning your heart that a guy needs to experience before he can actually win your heart, win your affection, win your time. It's the tension that still needs to hold. And I think that Nikita doing this holds that tension and also sends a message to the men that she's not easily taken. Like, she's not easily impressed or easily just falling for anything. Because, when a girl is just so open and just super affectionate with just any guy, it sends messages to other men that, oh, she's easy. I could just, get her whenever, have her how I want, whatever. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
I see what you're saying. So the allure of Nikita is the fact that she's, again, similar to CJ, but probably a little bit more different. Is there's an evasiveness there. She's not easily caught, so she's still able to have a little bit of a chase in there. I can work with that. I think she's not as fluid, like you said, because she's learning this, as CJ. CJ seems to have got to a certain level when it comes to creating a distance between herself and the guy, almost like slowing down, letting him catch up, and then speeding up again. And so, yeah, I hear you with Nikita doing that. It will create any woman, and this is any woman creating, wanting to create some air of mystery or intrigue, attraction. You want to have the dance, which is, you want to be able to have a little bit of distance. You want the guy to have hope of being able to catch you. And a few times you let yourself be just slightly out of reach, right? And I say just slightly. You don't want to be too far gone, and you don't want to do this too many times, okay? Because it only can work for a few times before someone decides they're going to go elsewhere. But I think I do agree what you're saying in terms of Nikita. Because she's obviously now trying to put those effective boundaries in. There's also like an aspect of awkwardness which can come in, which also could be attractive, for some people. Sometimes that awkwardness can also be attractive. I think with Nikita, she's open again to Colin, because he's got the right vibe, a little bit of danger. But I think she likes danger in general. I just genuinely think she likes danger in general. So she's putting boundaries in place in terms of being able to have control of interactions, but the control in the area of what she likes hasn't yet been accomplished. I think she still allows her mind to go towards liking guys that potentially might not be the best for her. Point in case being that obviously Colin's number one, but also as well the fact that she said quite openly she loved what Jared, she liked Jared's energy. She liked what Jared was bringing, right? That's the new Jared, by the way. And new Jared came in like a wrecking ball. Okay, so she likes this stuff, and we've seen this from the very beginning when Cameron was talking to Nikita on the sofa, episode 1, and Colin came in and stole her from under Cameron's arm. I think this honestly links back to the father issue. I honestly do. I think the way that she interprets information in terms of being desired is that someone wants to come and swoop in and take her away. That shows ultimate desire for her. That shows ultimate wanting me, and claiming me, you know what I'm saying? But I think it might not even a little bit, it would be her undoing choosing a man who does those actions, which is why I think for now we're going to see the new Jared probably go a bit further. As long as he doesn't do too much madness with the other guys, I think he'll go far in this competition. If he stays aggressive, I think Colin will stay in there because he's aggressive. These guys will go far because they're aggressive. Old Jared is not very aggressive at the moment. Okay, he's just arms, just muscles and arms. Okay, and it's got a lot of passivity, a lot of feminine energy, and also bearing in mind this aspect as well. When you haven't learned this or come into experience this as well, because she's had an absence of masculinity, we don't know what kind of picture of masculinity she's been given and what energy she has been given from her environment around her in terms of what masculinity looks like and what it actually is. Therefore, just judging by what we've seen on the show and the excitement she gets from the two men that are most aggressive, there can be an image that is, those kind of guys are the ones that tickle her fancy. She knows it's not right, but it tickles her fancy. And I think she'll have to learn that as time goes on, as she has better experiences and self-reflects on whether this worked for her in the past.
I used to think like if a guy's ready to kiss you that you should just kiss him because he's ready to kiss you, but ultimately I have a choice too, and if I don't feel like kissing you, I don't want to kiss you.
People think I'm just like...
No, I agree with everything you're saying. And I'm going to take it a little bit deeper.
Go for it.
So we talked about Sarah, okay, and her level of inexperience.
Yeah,
I think Nikita has a little bit more experience in
I
her,
agree.
but she is still on her journey of fully realizing
I agree.
what's going on. And I think, what's hindering her from fully realizing it is the absence of that strong male presence in her life, like her father, right? So she's had more life experiences, and her life experience will let her know now that, hey, you know, I do need to put some barriers in place in terms of physical intimacy and things like that, because past experiences have told her when she has gone too far physically, and she said this on the episode, when she kissed a guy too soon, that it led to things that she didn't really sign up for, and things like that. So I think she's on this journey where she's putting that into place, but I think what's missing is, like you said, she does want still that danger factor. That's where her appetite is for. She still wants the risky guy who's a bit of a bad boy, who has aggression and things like that, because that's where she feels like passion, and that passion is turned into, a certain level of want for her, and I think she still has to figure out how to understand the characteristics and the actual personalities of the guy. Like, it can't just stop at physical interaction, right? Now you have to dig deeper into character, morals, integrity, things like that. But right now, she's stuck in this physical realm. And I think she'll learn as she goes. Like, I see her in that midpoint, like she's learning, like she's going through the phases of figuring out the game and how it works. She's figured out, the other stuff in terms of physicality, but in terms of like interpersonal interactions and actually getting to know a person, I think that's where she's at in current stage, where this is her learning lesson, and she's gonna learn this lesson in Fboy Island, right? Dealing with all these different type of guys, looking at their different personalities. I think this is where, because even when she had that conversation with Colin, where she's like, physically, you seem like an F-boy because you're handsome and good looking, all these other things. She's like, but I don't know if we, have the chemistry, interpersonally, emotionally, if we're on the same level. So this is the stage that she's in. She has to figure out what are the signs on a deeper level that, can weed out the bad boys for sure. And I think it's going to be hard for her um to figure that out, especially because a lot of F boys are good at lying about their emotions. They're good at lying about their character and things like that. And essentially that is what she wants, right? She wants to be lied to, she's putting the physical barriers in place, because naturally, right? Naturally, when you have a standard for yourself, it's naturally going to create that allure, like unintentionally, right? Like, if you're like, oh, I'm not doing this unless I feel safe or whatever. For the guy, it's naturally going to make him be like, how do I crack this code, right? And so she has that down pat. But like, again, like, she's going through these scenarios and situations where now she has to dig a little deeper. And I don't think she quite knows how to do that, because she might be dealing with her own emotional trauma or things that happen in her life where she doesn't even quite know how to correctly interpret. And, she may not have the emotional intelligence, fully up to par. And she may be dealing with guys that can easily say one thing, and she may not be able to decipher, okay, does this match your actions? Like, physically we're here, but you know, mentally and emotionally, are we there? You know, and I think that's where a lot of her confusion